All right, continue on. All right. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. All right. So here in Genesis chapter 4, verse 8, we have Cain betrays Abel, his brother. Note the tree of good and evil and the intentions of the heart. Just by what was offered to God, God could tell exactly how things would go, so he forewarned. Here we clearly see the indication Adam and Eve did not become as God, because though they knew good and knew evil also, they lacked discernment between both. Here we understand the plight of any gift of foresight God gives. If one with this does not forewarn as a responsibility, if blood is spilled, it will be on their shoes, meaning they will have a guilty conscience. That it will be required of their conscience the weight and dread of that thing. Lastly, Abel denoted of his pit, his heart, his good seed, earnest, loyal, good nature. All right. And Cain, I want you to pay close attention. We cannot gather Cain is a bad seed, but was corrupted into doing evil by circumstances beyond his capacity, to feel envy and not understand why, corrupting the pit, the heart turning desire into a bottomless justifiable resolve. All right, this is just like that Cujo movie. Okay, Cain and Abel, all right, they were both cool. All right, that's what you're supposed to understand. Just as Adam and Eve, when they were created, in the day that they were created, okay, everything was all good, all right? The pit of the fruit is its seed, all right? Adam and Eve ate from the tree of good and evil, and when they ate from the tree and evil, the tree of good and evil, the pit of the fruit is the seed, and the seed being the heart. And you love your kids, therefore your seed is your fruit, and their pit is their heart. So when we speak of a bottomless pit, we're speaking of desire. And out of that desire, Cain's desire of wanting to do good, right? And the knowledge he had pertaining to the ground, how the ground was cursed. That subtlety in his own reasoning, okay, caused that spirit to come in and corrupt him into doing evil. Okay, I want to be very clear about this thing. All right, he was an unsuspecting victim. All right, God seeing all things before they happen. Okay, if he wanted to so much, had the desire to put several checks and balances in place that these things would never happen. But people want to have free will also. People want to be sovereign also. And in those things, in their heart, they will justify those things if God does not allow those things to happen. So God allows them to happen because out of that, there is a hope and possibility that man could see his own way is futile in comparison to the spirits. That he needs God and he needs God's help, but that he can't lean to his own understanding. Okay? So I want to kill people's hindsight bias, because in your hindsight bias there is pride, and God hates pride, the utmost thing. So be warned. Do not point your fingers, because yes, the story of Cain is the story of you. The story of Abel is the story of Christ. All right? You are accounted righteous. You cannot account yourself as being righteous. Those are two separate things. One is pride and it's subtle. Right? So, this thing that came upon Cain, this spirit, all right, it corrupted his heart. And what's difficult is when you try to do good and you have a good heart and you mean well and things do not turn out well. And then that reason and what have you that goes against you, that accuser, that countess in your mind, those subtle thoughts that come into your brain and tell you that is something other than what it is, and your perception changes along with that knowledge. You see what I'm saying? So when that happens, all right, it is beyond your capacity. It is way too much for an individual to deal with on any level. And to some degree, we have psychology and we have psychologists. We understand what occurs and happens with the brain or with the mind, but we are unable to solve or resolve what comes on to the individual. We can merely thwart some of the symptoms, all right? But getting rid of the symptoms does not get rid of the cause. In fact, it makes that spirit more subtle. That spirit is still in primary operation and operating in that new body. And you give it medicine, that body medicine, and that spirit might be saying, thank you. All right? So we're talking about the spiritual things, and I'm not bashing medication in any type of way. Some people need that as well. But I'm saying it is a situation, psychologist knows, it is a situation in which you take the medication pertaining to psychology, and then you need some type of, I would say spiritual help, but if you're not going to get spiritual help, you need some type of, which is psychology, it's more on the behavioral conditioning, all right, to mitigate and facilitate your returning to a normal, I don't know, a habit, something that is out of habit, that is more conducive with the rest of society. All right. So that is the key Cujo thing. So you got a heart, you're trying to do well, it's not turning out. Things are not looking good. Your perception is changing. That's the rabies coming on to Cujo. Things are starting to look bad. You know things are looking bad, but you don't understand why. Your heart being in good spirit, you have hope and faith, but then you justify those things that are happening that are bad and just hoping for the best. Right? And at the end of all that hoping, and at the end of all of that faith and hoping and fighting and striving, things never decide to change for the better. Then your knowledge is justified over your faith. Something else is in the understanding. Something else is in the way. There is a wedge between you and the Spirit of God. All right. Now, let me see here. So, and the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel, thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Here, notice the echo. Where is Abel, thy brother? Do you know how the Lord is consistent asking Cain the same way he once asked his father, denoting heredity and discernment in Eden? You know what I'm saying? Where is Abel? He called out to Adam in the garden. You know, where art thou? Okay? That is basically what God is saying. He's consistent. He does things the same way. He's saying to Cain, you know, where art thou, brother? Abel. You understand what I'm saying? Note, the Lord knows the answers to the question he asked, but merely offers the opportunity to be fair. This is that free will. All right? This is being unbiased. He already knows the answer. He wants to see if you're going to tell the truth. All right? Why does he want to do that? He wants to see if the fruit is good. All right? Why? Deeper than action is intention. Does the spirit lie or does it fess up? His spirit cannot, especially to himself, as above, so below. All right? What do I mean by this? God placed this spirit inside of man. He wants to see if his spirit lies. The spirit of truth is the spirit of God, and that spirit does not lie. So therefore, it is as in a mirror. Is man going to reflect the heavens, or is he not going to reflect the heavens? When your conscience asks you a question and you respond to the conscience and you tell a lie, then he knows you are a liar and a murderer from the beginning, and the truth does not abide in you. Who is he talking about? He's talking about the wicked one. He's talking about the adversary. He's talking about Satan. Okay? He's Satan. The word Satan means adversary. It doesn't matter what spirit from the darkness you have in you. If that spirit do lie and is operating your vessel, then he knows that even though you're physically alive, you're already spiritually gone. You need to be delivered out. And that's going to take a series of things of you being humbled in order to break your head and break that pride, all right, so that you could go before God and say, hey, I need help. I really do. I can't resolve this thing on my own. Because what will knowledge lie and tell you you can do? It will reason with you that you can fix it yourself, and that hope and faith is no good. And soon that will be dropped out of the way, and you have no connection with God, and you have no understanding of yourself, and you have no reflection in the mirror. It is not about what you see with your eyes in the mirror. It's about who you know. God doesn't want you to look in mirrors anyways. It's about, do you know yourself? And how can you know yourself if the spirit within you is a lie? Then the things you will tell yourself about yourself is a lie as well. Your perception will be a lie as well. These things are important. Am I my brother's keeper, denoting subtlety found in the serpent? So this is where the doctrine, okay, serpent seed comes from. However, the doctrine is wrong, all right? This has nothing to do with serpents, all right, right here. It is written, Adam conceived and Eve bore Cain and said, I have gotten a man, okay, denoting mankind or Adam. I have gotten a man from the Lord, all right? It follows the patriarchy. So therefore, the seed that she bore, the seed that she begot, Cain, was a man. He was just like his father. He was like his father Adam. All right. Further, if at all, Cain would represent the seed of evil from the tree. So what I'm saying here in my notes is, if anything, I'm thwarting the serpent seed doctrine regarding dragons, because a lot of people believe that Cain was a serpent seed, and that's simply not true. If anything, Cain will be a reflection of heredity, being his father's son, but denoting that the fruit from the tree, the fruit from the tree, okay, meaning self-will. Okay? Self-will. The first action that was taken in disregard of God's orders. Okay? And this is not me getting on Adam's head. This is not me getting on Cain's head. And the Bible says one thing we got to be very careful is with that, because what God will do when you start going in that direction, you think you know something, those things, that spirit will come onto you and you'll learn a thing or two. All right? So further, if at all, Cain would represent the seed of evil from the tree, denoting the perception of shade or casting a shadow on the justifiable actions in believing God had more favor of Abel and his effort was futile, corrupting his outlook and falling in terms of his consciousness, his being, his heart. Okay, so what am I saying here? That seed, okay, was that seed that was within Adam. And what happened? It says both of their eyes were open when they took of that fruit. In other words, they have become self-aware. Wait a minute, I could do this thing. Even though God told me not to do it, I could still do it. They discovered there's free will. They always had it, but they had the experience of this thing. Okay? And basically, you know what I'm saying? That is within every man. Okay? It is within every man. Okay? But it was an awareness. It was a knowledge. It was an understanding, a perception of seeing things. And as this thing grew, okay, this represented not Cain, okay, but the seed that was in the tree. See, you can't break the thread. You can't break the line from Genesis. Genesis is there for a reason. And what God is showing you here in scripture is a spiritual thing. All right? And the spiritual thing is that seed of evil. Okay? Which is a seed of self-will. That's why Christ, and this is the hardest thing for us to do. And like I said, people want to think that they're able, and they want to think that they Christ and following Christ, and they are not. That's why Christ kept hitting us in the head in the New Testament. Hey, pick up your cross and follow me. See, Christians get very different when you start saying this thing. Okay? You know what I'm saying? I gripe myself. Oh man, it's difficult. You want to know why? Because I want to do what I want to do. I do. I want to do my own thing. And I want to be Christian. I want a buffet, and I want a diet soda at the end of that buffet line to save my life. I gotta have it. For my health, I gotta watch out for my cholesterols. I got 2 plates on that thing piled up to the top, and I got a diet soda or a Gatorade as my salvation. I'm loaded up. I'm like, what's up? I'm ready for the world, right? These are our safety checks and balances. We really know something. Our knowledge is outstanding. Teenager, you can't tell us nothing. Mom and dad just don't understand Will Smith. You know, Will Smith came out with a song. Parents just don't understand. That's what it is. We knew everything. We did. Mom and dad had to go back to school. They done forgot everything. They was tripping on the trip. Right? So this is the thing. And it's really like that. It's interesting how you just know so much when you become a teenager. You know, your parents say things, and in the back of your head, as soon as your parents finish saying something, what's the first thing you think? And, but, then, right? That's your reason. Yeah. My father said, it's nothing out there for you at night. And I'll be like, and he don't really know what he's talking about. He ain't been out at nighttime in a long time. But I'm just going breakdancing. Then when I get done breakdancing, I'm just coming right back home. He don't know nothing about that. These are facts. You know what I'm saying? You got to update your software. You got to update your knowledges, Dad. You might not know something. Let me put you up on game. Right? We know something. We found it out for ourselves. Right? But we know enough not to tell our parents that. And it's not necessarily specifically because we might get the taste smacked out of our mouth. That ain't necessarily what stops us. Now, look how subtle that is. How do we know that? How do we know not to say, and you want me to do this, but, well, what about this then? What makes us not say that? Now, one thing is talking back, but this isn't necessarily the talking back thing. Something so subtle, it catches us and we don't say it. We have the thought, but we don't say it. Even though we would say it with our friends to justify where we're coming from. It's not necessarily that it has to be hostile. That's how subtle this thing is. Okay? So this is representative of that seed of evil, and the seed of evil that the Bible is talking about is being self-will. Again, Christ said, not my will, your will. Huh? When you want to do the Father's will, it gets a little bit Christianity. Following this Bible here, this thing gets a little bit more difficult, hypothetically speaking. I ain't figured it out yet. That's what I'm telling you. I ain't figured it all out yet. Okay, so basically, these justifications, these reasonings, this knowledge, cause him to fall into moral degradation, justifying this self-will, because his efforts he felt were hopeless. And these efforts that he felt were hopeless, all right, was based upon practical knowledge only. Not that this practical knowledge rested upon a spiritual occurrence. So therefore, we see the beginning of this thread, this seed that was planted, was first spiritual, and then it manifested into the physical things. But you can't have faith, because faith is ridiculous for you to sow a spiritual seed and believe, and for that thing to happen. You got to do what? People gonna get mad at me right now. You got to do work. You got to do works, and you got to have knowledge on how to do that work. Uh-oh. He talking that trash. Huh? I might be Oscar the Grouch. I'll come straight for you. Huh? You might not know how to handle it. Knowledge. You got to have knowledge. You got to have knowledge of how to do that work. And after you have knowledge of how to do that work, you got to put in work. Right? But how much work did it take for you to sow that spiritual seed in Genesis? Nah, didn't take that much work. Did it take Cain that much work? Look at all the consequences that was coming up on him, and he didn't have to put in any type of work. It was hereditary. It was already in the ground. He ain't never seen it the other type of way before. Right? It was different. He had his hand at it, and the ground was crazy. The ground was crazy, wasn't acting right. You understand what I'm saying? Then there was other spiritual, occurrences coming on, right? And then you got years of us, if we go through seminary and one man teaches it one way, and I'm not bashing on anybody, but every now and again, you got to come back and look at things with a fresh eye, because you're just going to pass down. Tradition equates in gematria to 666. 666 is the number of man, and we use it on barcodes for manufacturing. So therefore, tradition, our scholastic system or knowledge, is passed down. Now, what if you make a mistake and it's there for you to learn? That's the only reason the Holy Spirit put it there, but how unaware people are. You can see our pride all the way in Genesis. Well, I'm able. No, you not. You're not able to do nothing. You're not even able to read right. Huh? Have mercy. But you know what I'm saying? It's this type of thing that is for learning and education, for us to see the spiritual thing. The thing that the Bible is mainly trying to get to us, the first thing that we need to step into, no matter what individual we see in the Bible, is the fact that it can happen to you. The grace and mercy that you have is that it has not. That's an intricate thing. You don't have knowledge like that, so you don't understand how that gets down. And you know what? That means you will be devoured by that thing out of the dark. That thing out of the dark have a different type of knowledge. You don't know how to block. You don't know how to block like that, right? There's only so much defenses you could put up. There's always something that comes out of there, out of that darkness, right? So it's a lot of things going on with there. And we continue on with, and he said, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper denotes, while there may be no such thing as a bad question, with discernment, there can be a wrong question. Am I my brother's keeper denotes knowledge, also a sense of guilty conscience. So this is not about Cain, but a guilty conscience. A guilty conscience would say guilty conscious things. So not I am, but more so am I. And not every time that you say am I, but it is a subtle thing that when you're communicating with thought, generally putting God first, God's name being Ahia out of Exodus chapter 3 verse 14, which is I am. My name is I am such and such. I am this. Denoting subtlety comes in a question, such like a lawyer. Am I? Did I? You know what I'm saying? You're questioning something subjected to yourself. So we're talking about the spirit. This is what God is recognizing. The spirit. His spirit would say something more along the lines as I am, or saying, I don't know, right? But he's starting out, am I? He's starting out with the question. You just got to ask a question. This is not Cain, but the spirit that came inside of Cain, it was speaking outside of Cain's mouth. Okay? So this spirit, well aware of God, said, am I? Okay? Am I is the wrong line of questioning. It should have been more so a shock. And I used the movie title here in my notes. Oh, brother, where art thou? Right? Echoing the same question that God would have asked in search for his brother looking through the woods. Hand up to the side of his mouth. Oh, brother, where art thou? Right? I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you. I'm your brother. I'm looking for you. I don't know where you're at. I don't know. That's what he would have told God. Instead, he did not say that. He said, am I? God said, oh, there's a different spirit in there. He's not looking at Cain. And we got to look at this to point in reference to turn of when Peter sliced off that Roman soldier's ear, right? For trying to take Christ in, then Christ turned and said to Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. Was Christ calling Peter his beloved? Was he calling him Satan? Was he calling him an adversary? No. But the spirit, in terms of how he was acting, he recognized, he see clear to the center. He's placing the fault on that spirit that was operating inside of Peter and not Peter himself. He could understand the effect of how Peter was driven, how Peter was used by in terms of his emotions being the woman. You see that? So, am I, all right, says me, you know what I'm saying? Me, question mark. Brother's keeper is redundant, as God hates redundancy. Some people that know, I'll tell you who knows, those Jewish people over Israel that do and I don't mean to sound crazy, but the people that be like, the rabbis and all that, they know that God hates redundancy. He hates it. So right here, brother's keeper is is redundant, and God hates that redundancy. Brother's keeper. Okay, if someone is your brother, they are your responsibility. As brother is a possessive title of ownership. All right. So he really said, why do I have to be my brother's keeper? Okay. When I talk about my family, when I talk about my mother, all right, I don't say mother. Okay. I guess I could say mother did this, but generally I say that's my mother, my mom. That's my sister. She is who she is in relativity to me. My mother wouldn't say, that's my sister, and be denoting her daughter. You understand what I'm saying? She would say, that's my daughter. My sister is a title in relativity to an individual. Therefore, ownership is a part of that title. Okay? So this indicates a type of guilt, and therefore keeping a secret. And that knowledge, again, has a guilty conscience, and therefore needs a covering. That's why Adam and Eve was out of their element when they were looking for clothes to cover their flesh. It wasn't covering their flesh. It was how they were acting. Okay. Let's see here. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. All right. Voice of brother. He's talking about DNA. And DNA, another thing for it, I can't say the long term for it. It's some long word for it. But it means information. In other words, God, you know what I'm saying? He's top notch. He got them forensics on deck. He understands exactly what happened. All right. That's what they let you know. God is detailing the evidence of foul play. Okay. The earth, whose nature has changed post-fall of man, is never out of space for bodies or full of blood, as he has released a spirit in the earth. It's a thing now to kill. So once it happens, in terms of being self-will, we're talking about the division of the spirit and the flesh. The spiritual man had fallen down, and now the physical man is operating the driver's seat, which is the flesh, the elemental principle. So therefore, the earth, the carbonite we're comprised of, the dust of the field, she had to change her nature because mankind's ways have changed, and he was going to change, start getting evil. The earth was going to get raped and the whole nine and things of this nature. Man is going to eventually need to protect himself from all forms of threats. Animals are going to need to, everybody's going to protect themselves. A turn to every man for themselves type of situation. Okay? So the earth, okay, because out of this thing, you know what I'm saying, the nature of man have changed. Now being separated from your spirit, it's almost, I'm trying to think of it, man. It's almost like a record skipping. You know, a lot of times when you see them ghost movies or something like that, it'd be a record that skips and plays the same part of the record. Or you'll see an apparition or ghost doing the same thing in a loop, right? It's like that. Your actions, where that memory is strong, most traumatized, is recorded and imprinted in that space and time. All right? So when something new happens, right? That spirit, it's a thing now. It's a thing now that the flesh has experienced. And now that spirit is going to go out and look for a vessel in which it can experience that thing. The lust of the flesh, therefore a fetish. It doesn't have to pertain to something that is directly sexual. Okay? So the affairs of a fugitive will keep him on the run, running from dangers and threats by fate or karma. The stillness required to be a farmer will not be in his wake. Okay? In other words, both the man, okay, pertaining to people's lack of understanding of the spiritual things, they're going to constantly have an eye on them in a certain type of way. Right? He could plant seeds of the field, but he's going to have to move because people going to be, now other people, that spirit is going to seek to get back into his vessel. What are they going to try to do to Cain? They're going to try to come after him. Now he's trapped in a situation where he constantly had to fight off that spirit. He might have to knock out 10 and 15 people. You know what I'm saying? Just to say he got to keep moving. You know what I'm saying? And that spirit is moving around different people. Every time they get angry, it's looking for Cain again. Right? It's looking for Cain. And to thee shall be his desire. So that spirit is running back towards Cain. And he's we got this movie called John Wick. And John Wick is trying to get out of the assassin business. But it's a hard thing to do. He was really good at his job. And now he's trying to get out. And he can't smack their hands away. This spirit is coming back after him. It's a spiritual phenomenon. It's the same thing with Cain. Hey, man, I don't really get down like this. You know what I'm saying? So this is the situation with him. He can't really exactly be a farmer. He has to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And now art thou cursed from the earth, which have opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. So in other words, the earth now has an affinity for blood. The earth has only tasted water. You know what I'm saying? At this point in time, considering this age pertaining to, the scriptures, the earth, she's had water. Now, you know what I'm saying? She got something, you know what I'm saying? She got something with a little bit of iron in it. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It got some minerals, got some nutrients. Hey, man, it's a thing. She got to take, you know what I'm saying? She got taste for it. She done grown some fangs. What can I say? It's a thing. Water is good, but there's sometimes it's a thing. So this is the nature of things changes. So, let's see, where am I at here? All right, so, and Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. All right? So, My punishment is, okay, is, all right. This is the knowledge of those spirits. Those spirits are intricate, all right. God gave a punishment, and this time it doesn't say was in italicized. It says is, and is as in ism. Isms is a lasting affair of all time, an eternal statement or judgment, meaning the spirit of Cain is lamenting to the immortal God his testimony, which is holy shit, man. Not exactly that it's the spirit of Cain, but the spirit that was inside of Cain that committed this thing, to be more clear. Cain wouldn't know too much about he don't really have knowledge of this thing, but that spirit, what makes it confusing, that spirit that is inside of Cain, that spirit knows exactly what it is. That spirit knows exactly who God is. And he's saying, he's not arguing with God. He's saying, hey man, this is crazy. This is crazy. How you gonna do that to me? So that spirit is gonna be a fusion and vagabond, because whenever it takes action, that individual is gonna have to take off like a gazelle, because trouble was going to look for that individual. All right. So that spirit is, basically crying up to God, saying, "Hey, this is way too much. This is radical. This is outrageous." You know what I'm saying? In other words, everyone hates me is a type of statement or status that this spirit is feeling, and will seek to kill me now because of this thing. So Cain was given a mark for security reasons, and there was a tax established over his life pertaining to judgment or karma. Meaning, whoever reenacts this thing, it's going to be even worse for you. If you come after him and you do something to him, it's going to be even worse for you. What does this say in relationship between God and Cain? God understood very clearly what was going on with Cain, more so than what Cain knew what was going on with himself. That spirit knew what was going on that was inside of Cain. That spirit knew exactly what God was saying. Cain, if he was able to, gather himself to, he's like, it was probably happening. And then later on, he's probably thinking, like, what? What just happened? It happened so quick, I'm not sure if that really took place or not. He was in a different mode. He wasn't, it wasn't really Cain. It wasn't Cain himself. If you ever seen somebody that says, I just don't feel like myself today, they not, believe them. You know what they got going on. You might need to step away. That spirit knows some stuff. It knows how to get it done, right? It's a thing. So, let me continue on. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken upon him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Now, if somebody enacted on that spirit and took it out towards Cain, how many spirits would that be? Would that be one spirit? It would be the same spirit, and it would spawn another spirit, wouldn't it? And that spirit would be the spirit of revenge, would it not? It would be some type of revenge. That spirit would go out, start running around the earth. Now you did something to me, I got to get you back. Eye for an eye. Right? This is where we see this thing in the Old Testament. This is where the whole eye for an eye. Somebody, it might not have been Cain, but somebody, you know what I'm saying? Somebody, it circled back around. Because that spirit, that's his thing. That's how it survives. You know what I'm saying? It's got to get this thing off. It doesn't necessarily have to be something pertaining directly to a lust, but as in a lust, as in that sensation, it overcomes you. It's subduing. It's subtle. All right? The impulses that are crawling beneath your flesh. Right? And before you know it, and before the time you are aware of it, you know what I'm saying? It has taken you over. It takes a long time. It takes willpower. And it's never going to be perfect until the day that you die. So we have to be very humble and careful when we recognize and acknowledge God and pray for that mercy and grace, that These things don't come upon us. Any type of spirit that's out there, because nobody is built like that. That's what the scripture is telling you. Cain and Abel and these people in the Old Testament, yo man, they bones was of a different caliber. You know what I'm saying? They was built different. We fragile nowadays. We ain't built like that. And the ordinance of our mind ain't on that level. So the fact with us is it's gonna hit us. It's gonna knock us over like a tsunami. That spirit. We a little plaything, a little stick figure. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta be more. We gotta be careful. We gotta stay prayed up. Now, it says Cain went out from the presence of the Lord east of Eden to Nod. Out of the presence of the Lord means if Jesus is the light of the world, I would say, this is me speculating. You guys got to be careful. I am not no scholar, none of that like that. But I mean, it says he dwelled in the land of Nod, and I could have sworn. See, this could be a little kid in me, you guys. I could have sworn something about Superman. Superman might have came from the land of Nod or something, or around Nod. I think it was something like that. Hey, man. I think he went, I don't know, it's technology back in them days. I think he went to space. 1000%. Because the sun lights the earth and everything. He might have went to some place, some civilization in space. You feel me? When they talk about Superman, that might have been Cain. Them, like I said, they was built different. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Now, people gonna think I'm ridiculous for that, and that's all right. But just answer this in the same time. I'm gonna ask you when you say this. I am ridiculous. I'll try to work on that. How do you get outside of the presence of the Lord? If he's watching over the earth, if he's the light of the world, then how do you get out of his presence? You would have to leave the world some type of way, right? So I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, there is a valid reason for the reason why I may think that way. All right. Now, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enosh. It could have been Enosh. Some people say Enosh. I generally say Enoch. I don't know if I'm saying it right or not. I think it's a cool name, right? And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Now, I can't think of the names in Mortal Kombat, but some of them ninjas turned into like cyborgs or whatever. I'm not calling bro's child a cyborg or whatever, but they had names like Knock or something like that, like in the Mortal Kombat game. I can't think of the names of the ninjas, man, but they were cybernetic. They were cold-blooded. Look at that name, Enoch. Now this is like some Star Wars stuff. You know how Star Wars is in the future. You know what I'm saying? Princess Leia, you know what I'm saying? She chill on UFOs and things like that. You know what I'm saying? She gonna come down, hang out with a brother with duct tape on his car in Earth, even though she was in the future. Here's the point I'm trying to make. How come Star Wars is in the future, but then like the technology and stuff they had was kind of like, it was kind of retro at the same time. It was retro, but it was like far more advanced than we can even wrap our minds around here on Earth. We would seem more advanced in, I don't know, not exactly our style in any type of way, but I can't really explain this thing to you. But it's just one of those things that'll make you crazy if you go into detail, try to meditate on what I'm trying to tell you right now. Star Wars is set in a future time. We are in the year 2022. Let's say if you went out to space, it looked like it was in the 80s, but all the technology was like hundreds of years, millennia, like way ahead of your time on Earth. That's what Star Wars is like. This kid's name was Enoch. That tell me all I need to know. I'm a space cadet to begin with. I'm hip with it, right? That name is too cool, huh? We got names right now. Our names right now in Earth ain't that dope. They got names, Billy, Ted. Those are good names, but it ain't Enoch. Enoch on a different level. It's like, what you talking about? What you talking about? If I met somebody at school and his name was Enoch, ooh, I don't know if we would get along at first. I would be jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. That kid got a cooler lunchbox than me. He got a cool name. I gotta borrow that from you, bro. Huh? That's just the truth. Enoch is a cool name. How many? And I want you, brothers and sisters out there listening to this podcast, to think about how many people you know. I want you to think about the coolest names you know. See of them if they sound any as futuristic as the name Enoch. Huh? That sound like something that'd be in Star Wars, don't it? It sound real cool. So, Cain had a son named Enoch. He was probably, okay, hypothetically, this is speculative, he was probably a star seed, okay? And he built a city, all right? I don't know, okay, if regular civilization on Earth could build cities yet. So he was smarter than usual. This brother at this time, his son, this brother was smart. All right, he built the city. If you get up in them airplanes, and you know what I'm saying, you look, down here, and you look at them streets, and sometimes they circle around them exits and all that stuff, and they go to certain places. It is just like arteries and veins in the body. It is so confusing and it's so complex to look at. How can you do that? Where people chilling in helicopters the entire time, putting together these roads and these exits and all that stuff. You can't have me build no road. We might be going in circles for a long time. Have mercy. You know Israel did it following Moses. You know what I'm saying? Cain's son Enoch, he built the city. His intelligence, his swagger, he was on a different level. 1000%. That's how I read it. Okay? That's how I read it. I could be tripping. Like I said, I speculate. There's nothing wrong with speculating. It's not illegal. Let me go ahead and read this last verse. We're closing on out. All right. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot, you know what? Respectfully, I don't know how to say some of these names. You know what? I gotta respect it. I can't say it. I want to try it so bad. Let me think. Mehu. See, I think Jael is Yael. Mahu. That's the closest I could get, y'all. Mahu begot Methuselah, and Methuselah begot Lamech. All right? These brothers, they are the children of Cain. All right? Now these dudes, they on a different level, I'm telling you. Super strength. Right? I speculate. You know what I'm saying? I lift weights. I could be strong, but it ain't the same. The strength ain't. It's just not quite, right? And we all know it. Some people you walk around, you see, their wrist bone is huge. They ain't gotta lift a single weight in their life, right? They just naturally born linebacker status, right? They look like they play football in the second grade, professional football. They might look like linebackers by their age. You know what I'm saying? Now I can lift all the weights I want to, right? And at the end of the day, I'm built like a Teen Titan. I still got skinny legs. Don't matter you know what I'm saying? I gotta be strong. I'm on the Ant-Man side of the gang. I'm scraggly. I'm coming for you, right? But this is a different thing, right? So I say this with love, you guys. Peace and blessings be with you all. And I'm going. You know what I'm saying? When I put this together, I'll upload it at some point in time. But I'm out.